cash, crashing on some guy's floor in an apartment near Chelsea. Brian, Bruce, Brent, who the fuck knew? The point was, I'd done exactly what Eve said I'd do, squandered the little money I'd had and ended up on the streets. Not for long, I'd figure something out. Last night's meal ticket lumbered out of bed, pulled the shades up so that sunlight poured in from the dusty window above the mattress on the floor, scattering roaches. He tossed me a towel redolent with sweat and cum. "You can shower first." Eyes straight to the clock over the studio kitchen table. "You need to get out of here soon, Connie." His tone was apologetic, but his eyes poked in panic. I dug around in my duffel bag. "No longer single?" "I said I'm not married, and I'm not." "But you have a girlfriend." "I have a girl who is a friend." He turned away. "She wouldn't understand, having you here and all." "No, I'm sure she wouldn't." Based on the dingy blandness of the apartment, I guessed a girl who was a friend was just that, a friend. Otherwise, she would have made some impact on his dump of an apartment. Or at least she would have inspired him to clean up. But I'd scouted for signs of another woman 2 nights ago when we'd first arrived. No second toothbrush, no tampons, no lavender-scented body wash. He wasn't married, and if he was, he and his significant weren't together. This apartment wasn't even nice enough to be a love nest. He'd said he was a lawyer. Based on the address and the quality of his clothes and electronics, I could believe he was some sort of bottom-feeder attorney and not too good at his job, or maybe a pro bono lawyer, or a paralegal, or maybe he was a liar and cleaned toilets at Penn Station. Whatever his occupation, he stood there now with a pathetic shadow of a beard sprouting across his ruddy face, covering his chest with his arms, making no effort to hide his shriveled penis. I stretched and rose from the bed, hugging the dirty towel as a cover-up. "Do you have somewhere to go?" He looked genuinely concerned. I would have been touched had it not been for a rising erection and the claw marks down his chest. Last night's fifth of bourbon and tussle on the floor came back to me in a cloud of regret. My mouth tasted like gunmetal. My eyelids ached to close. Score another for Eve. "Sure," I said, suddenly wanting more than anything to get out of his place. I pulled on cargo pants, a black turtleneck sweater that felt constricting around my neck. "Do you need cash?" He was watching me while he pulled clothes from a hamper on the floor. "I'm not a pro." "I know," he blushed. He'd put on boxers, but his cock still strained against the tartan plaid, hopeful. "It was fun, Connie, and the girl, she is just a friend. Will I see you again?" "Doubtful." I turned, saw the confusion in his eyes, and heard Eve's voice in my head. "Once a whore, always a whore." I thought about kissing his cheek, decided against it. "Thanks for the bed, and the good time." He grabbed my hand, pulled it to his crotch. I jammed a fist against his stomach, growled, "Asshole," and pushed my way out the door. I had nowhere to go. 22 days of rationing my money, and I was down to $68, plus the $10 I took from Brian, Bruce, Brent's kitchen counter, money rescued, I reasoned, from the cockroaches, plus a Metro card. Jobs were hard to come by when you had no address, and the first room I'd rented turned out to be in a crack house. I stayed for 5 nights. On night 6, the smell of the live corpses in the room next door drove me out. I needed a way to make money. Eve would send it to me if I called, but I would die before I called. Her price was too high. Clouds pressed in overhead, coloring the space between the skyscrapers an irritable gray. I wandered down East 42nd Street, deciding what to do next. The first drops hit when I reached 5th Avenue, and I bolted inside Grand Central, just ahead of the early May downpour. Inside, I bought a baguette and a small bag of almonds. I traded the Metro card for a seat on the subway. Once on, I didn't need to get off. A person could ride the subway for a very long time.